A strange organ transplant unexpectedly grants 6 ordinary people superpowers. The girl who received the heart transplant transforms from a sickly weakling into a physical beast, running faster than cars. The lung recipient becomes a supercharged jet engine, capable of blowing a grown person away with a single breath. The young man who received the corneas gains abilities akin to a human Bluetooth, controlling any electronic device anywhere. However, the most formidable among them is the old man who received the pancreas, mastering a life-draining power that allows him to absorb others' life force and reverse his aging. This heaven-sent ability is both a gift and a curse, as insatiable greed drives someone to covet all the powers. Welcome to the 2025 blockbuster action film High Five. Let's dive right in. An ambulance shatters the night's silence, rushing a patient to the hospital, but the person on the stretcher doesn't make it. This is a young-looking suicide victim who signed organ donation papers. 2 doctors sigh as they proceed to extract his organs per the documents. For some reason, the deceased's skin is unusually tough, making the extraction process extremely difficult. Suddenly, a nurse screams and stumbles out of the room. The 2 doctors turn to see the patient on the operating table spontaneously combust, turning entirely to ash and vanishing. Later, the suicide victim's heart is transplanted into the matching patient, Wan-seo. Strangely, she shows no rejection reaction whatsoever, stabilizing immediately after surgery. Finding nothing amiss, the hospital discharges Wan-seo. Her most noticeable change post-surgery is a mysterious circular mark that inexplicably appears on her wrist. Wan-seo's dad runs a taekwondo gym, so she practiced taekwondo from a young age, until she had a heart attack during a match, and her dad absolutely wouldn't let her continue, because Wan-seo's mother and grandfather both died from heart disease. But how could she just give up the sport she loved since childhood? While her dad was chatting with the landlord, Wan-seo took a flying kick at a punching bag and actually split it open with a single strike. This level of strength was something she couldn't achieve even before her surgery. So Wan-seo got the idea to test her physical power. She came to a long slope, tightened her shoelaces and started sprinting, ending up running faster than a delivery scooter. For a moment, Wan-seo felt like she was about to take flight. She ran with growing excitement, couldn't brake in time and crashed headlong into a roadside truck, nearly rocking the vehicle. Her strength was immense. Someone secretly filmed Wan-seo running and posted the video online. The taekwondo uniform tied around her waist gave away exactly who she was. A guy named Ji-seong followed the name on the uniform all the way to the taekwondo gym. He tried to sneak a photo, but Wan-seo caught him red-handed. He was a grown man, yet couldn't shake off the young girl. At that moment, Wan-seo saw that Ji-seong also had a strangely shaped mark on his arm. Ji-seong told Wan-seo that he too had received an organ transplant and gained superpowers because of it. One donor can donate up to 6 organs: heart, lungs, corneas, liver, pancreas, kidneys, meaning that special donor gave superpowers to at least 6 people. Ji-seong was searching for other recipients. Perhaps he was lucky charm, because after finding Wan-seo, he surprisingly met a 3rd superpowered person very soon. That day, Wan-seo sneaked out to join a running race behind her dad's back. Because the winner could get a new pair of sneakers, Ji-seong waited for her in the shade. Shortly after, an older woman approached, saying she wanted to hand out free lactobacillus drinks, because she had recently had a kidney transplant, was now healthy and wanted to give back to society. Hearing this, the 2 immediately checked her arms, but there was no strange mark there. Just as Ji-seong was about to give up, he spotted a circular pattern on the small of her back. The scene shifts to a mansion, where several shamans perform strange rituals around an old man lying sick in bed. The patient's eldest daughter stepped out to take a call. She complained to the person on the phone, "Organs aren't batteries, Dad has already replaced several." The doctor said this time it's a new pancreas, but the old man looks like he's nearing death's door. Yet right after she spoke, the old man sat up complaining he was hungry, showing no sign of being at death's door. It could be seen he also had a strange mark on his wrist. Clearly this wealthy old man was a superpowered person too. Meanwhile, at an electronics store, a young man wearing sunglasses casually snapped his fingers and all the TVs in front of him switched off simultaneously. Electric current wildly fluctuated wherever he passed. Hang Hee-dong crossed the street and entered a building, using his superpower to dominate the arcade, then exchanged all his winnings for luxury goods. Hang Hee-dong was completely at ease, seeming fully adapted to his brand new body. The scene shifts back to Wan-seo. She and Ji-seong took Seon-nyeo out for a meal and used the chance to explain their superpowers. For example, Ji-seong had undergone a lung transplant, so his ability was tied to his lung capacity. He could exhale and create hurricane-force winds. But so far, Seon-nyeo hadn't shown any signs of awakened powers. Ji-seong told her not to worry, when people with special gifts come together, their abilities eventually awaken on their own. Right after he spoke, the light bulbs overhead started flickering wildly and then Han Ki-dong suddenly appeared. He knew all three people present intimately, already aware they were also transplant recipients. Han Ki-dong received corneal transplants. He explained that within a certain range, upon encountering another superpowered transplant recipient, he could see the glowing pattern on their wrist, which is how he confirmed their identities. Park Ji-sung didn't feel friendly towards this newcomer. The next day, he found a chance to tell Wan-seo. Actually, the villains are hiding among the superpowered. They attack their own kind, wanting to monopolize all the abilities for themselves, so we must stay alert and not easily trust superpowered individuals who appear suddenly. Yet right after he spoke, they received a distress text from Han Ki-dong. Turns out he got caught cheating at the arcade by the security guys. Fortunate lot superpowered trio arrived just in time. Park Ji-sung scratched his butt and slipped into the restroom. Honestly, he looked down on Han Ki-dong and didn't want to help at all. But Wan-seo's heroic complex kicked in, insisting on fighting injustice. She snatched the straw from Seon-nyeo's yogurt drink and playfully stuck it under Park Ji-sung's nose. That triggered a massive sneeze, powerful enough to blast a bunch of burly men off their feet. At the same time, the wealthy old man's superpower accidentally awakened. He and a partner named Hwang Byung-chun got rich by starting a cult and selling miracle medicine. They shared the struggles, but when the money started rolling in, the loyalty didn't. That day, they fought over profit distribution. The old tycoon grabbed Hwang Byung-chun's neck and in his agitated state, accidentally triggered his power, draining Hwang Byung-chun's life force into himself. Hwang Byung-chun instantly aged decades, while the old tycoon's wrinkles noticeably lessened. Sensing something, he reached towards a flower pot and indeed drained the green plant dry. One might think he had trained in some life-draining technique. The scene shifts to beneath a grand church. Yak-seon was hurrying the workers. Because of the recent church revival event, the workers were pulling all-nighters. A worker named Lee Seung-hun couldn't take it anymore and stepped forward, accusing Yak-seon of violating labor standards laws. While they were arguing, an alarm suddenly blared. A worker had fallen from height due to inadequate safety measures. When no one was watching, Yak-seon quietly placed his hand on the worker's fractured limb. Moments later, the injury was completely healed, but Yak-seon was hit with a sharp pain in his lower back and had to tough it out in silence. Simultaneously, the old tycoon's daughter, having witnessed the life-draining, cleverly guessed, this superpower must be related to her father's transplant surgery and other recipients might have awakened abilities too. The heiress immediately ordered her assistant to find all the superpowered individuals. Gotta admit, the assistant was impressively efficient, managed to track this place down in no time. At that moment, a few superpowered folks were clinging to a tiny car, doing everything they could to dodge the gang members hot on their trail. The assistant immediately gave chase upon seeing this, watching as three vehicles raced wildly through the streets. Thanks to Wan-seo pushing from behind, the electric cart managed to shake off the pursuers. After all, she could run faster than the vehicle, making this scene incredibly surreal. Because the arcade security boss chased relentlessly, refusing to give up, Park Ji-sung had to steal some lactobacillus drinks to use as weapons, transforming into a pea shooter battling the gangsters. Yogurt splattered all over the pursuers' windshield, causing them to lose direction. Before the four could even catch their breath, the cart slammed straight into a barbecue restaurant. Adopting the "since we're here" mentality, the four simply decided to have a meal inside, emerging only after night had fallen. Park Ji-sung and Han Ki-dong got into an argument over various issues. Han Ki-dong, an expert in circuitry and a top-tier hacker, knew Park Ji-sung's dirty secrets. He was aware Park Ji-sung had plagiarized a friend's script and published it as his own original work. Humiliated and enraged, Park Ji-sung slapped Han Ki-dong, but Han Ki-dong just snapped his fingers dismissively, instantly hacking into Park Ji-sung's phone to continue mocking his private information. Wan-seo, worried Park Ji-sung was upset, tried to pull him away, only for Park Ji-sung to make cruel remarks. "I only stick around because I pity you. Did you actually think we were friends?" The situation became so awkward that the four decided to part ways and go their separate paths. Wan-seo felt crushed. She'd taken a year off for medical leave and hadn't made a single friend at school. The time she spent with Park Ji-sung and Seon-nyeo meant everything to her, and now, just like that, it was over. Meanwhile, Seon-nyeo went to visit a deceased acquaintance, only to be stopped by the man's wife at the door. From their conversation, it became clear that the firefighter Seon-nyeo came to see had died while saving her. The visit revealed a hidden scar she had carried all along. The next day, having calmed down, Park Ji-seong went to apologize to Wan-seo, clarifying he hadn't plagiarized. The script was meant to be co-written but his friend dropped out of the project right at the start. Wan-seo hoped to mend their relationships and planned to gather all four together again. Elsewhere, the assistant showed the heiress the recorded video and the heiress decided to exploit these superpowered individuals to develop new drugs for her pharmaceutical company, possibly even aiming for a Nobel Prize in medicine. By now, Wan-seo, Seon-nyeo and Ahn Jae-hong had arrived at the meeting point. Jae-hong had already figured out who the liver recipient was and once Park Ji-seong showed up, they'd head out to find this new member. Right now, he was under intense pressure, pleading with his superiors to prioritize worker safety, but the higher-ups couldn't care less about the lives on the ground. Lee Seung-hun, wanting to finish faster, sacrificed his lunch break to keep working. His exhausted co-workers decided to go eat, unaware a nearby gas tank was quietly leaking. Outside the factory, the trio grew impatient waiting for Park Ji-seong, arguing about disbanding, when suddenly an explosion rocked the factory behind them. Yak-seon was frantically evacuating people inside, trying to minimize casualties but the unfortunate Lee Seung-hun was trapped behind a jammed safety door. Seeing this, Yak-seon panicked, smashing the window wildly with his helmet. At the critical moment, Wan-seo arrived just in time, kicking the door open and using a series of taekwondo moves to deflect flying gas canisters. However, the innermost electronic security door was too sturdy to kick open quickly, so it was Ahn Jae-hong's turn. A snap of his fingers hacked the electronic lock system, successfully releasing it. Park Ji-seong also arrived belatedly. The site was filled with thick smoke, making it hard to locate the injured. Ahn Jae-hong snapped his fingers, activating all nearby phone ringtones, allowing Park Ji-seong to locate Lee Seung-hun by sound. Yak-seon rushed over to administer first aid. After reviving Lee Seung-hun, he suddenly coughed up blood. Seon-nyeo jolted in surprise and instinctively rushed over, grabbing Park Ji-seong's hand. In that urgent moment, her powers suddenly kicked in. She seemed able to link the abilities of the gifted, and by sheer accident, she helped Yak-seon recover his energy. With hazardous fumes rapidly filling the factory, the group planned to escape first, but Seon-nyeo suddenly stopped halfway. They had left Ahn Jae-hong inside. Park Ji-seong was the first to get Lee Seung-hun out safely. The others doubled back to look for Ahn Jae-hong, only to spot his sunglasses along the way. Clearly, he was in trouble. The toxic gas inside was overwhelming and Wan-seo's group had no solution. Fortunately, Park Ji-seong's power was perfectly suited to handle the noxious fumes. Holding his breath, he found Ahn Jae-hong. I thought Park Ji-seong might blow the gas away forcefully, but instead, he pulled Ahn Jae-hong close and transferred air mouth to mouth. Though the sight was somewhat startling, it successfully got Ahn Jae-hong out of danger. Afterward, the five went to a nearby chicken restaurant to eat. Yak-seon confirmed he had indeed received a liver transplant and gained healing abilities. Though the pain transfers to Yak-seon, he can recover by drinking water and resting. Seon-nyeo led the applause for Yak-seon. It's this selfless spirit that makes a true hero. Yak-seon looked a bit embarrassed at the praise, saying he should be the one thanking Seon-nyeo for saving him. What none present realized was that Seon-nyeo, who seemed warm and optimistic, had once suffered not only from depression but also anger management disorder. It was only after her rebirth that she chose to change. Everyone decided to be heroes and picked fun code names. Seon-nyeo became Flashlight Girl, Wan-seo was Rescue Hero, Ji-seong turned into Tank Uncle, Jae-hong was Bluetooth Guy and Yak-seon called himself Battery Man. The five chatted and ate freely, sharing an indescribably warm atmosphere. The next day, Yak-seon visited the injured Lee Seung-hun at the New Spirit Church Hospital, only to unexpectedly run into the old man in the elevator, the one who could drain life energy. Yak-seon, showing deep respect, gave the New Spirit Church salute, but accidentally revealed the mark on his wrist. The old man leaned in eyes sharp with curiosity and asked urgently, "Is that a tattoo?" The latter explained, "I received a transplant not long ago, this mark appeared afterward." When asked if anything else had changed, Yak-seon found the idea of superpowers too ridiculous to admit. So he kept his healing ability to himself and simply said, "I feel incredibly healthy, maybe even a bit younger." Hearing that, the old man hatched a plan. Before leaving, he made sure to remember Yak-seon's name. That night, Yak-seon took extra shifts as a designated driver. His latest passenger turned out to be the heiress's assistant. When Yak-seon regained consciousness, he was already captured and taken to New Spirit Hospital. Without even using anesthesia, the heiress ordered doctors to remove Yak-seon's liver. But before they could proceed, the old master arrived, though his intentions were far from noble. He asked the doctors, "If only part of the liver remains, can it regenerate?" Receiving confirmation, he grabbed Yak-seon's neck to drain his life force, yet his power inexplicably failed against him. Thinking his ability had weakened, the old master tested it on a nearby doctor. This time, it worked instantly. Clearly, the power couldn't affect shared body recipients. Left with no alternative, he ordered Yak-seon's liver to be carved out for his own transplant. Failing to obtain the liver, the heiress moved quickly, sending agents to capture the remaining superpowered. Park Ji-seong had just stepped out of a convenience store when suited bodyguards pinned him to a wall. They tickled him relentlessly, forcing him to inhale a special anesthetic from a handkerchief. He collapsed unconscious instantly. Meanwhile, Seon-nyeo and Ahn Jae-hong were similarly ambushed by the assistance team. Finally, Wan-seo was cornered at her family's dojang entrance. Though unaware of her troubles, her father shed his jacket ready to fight, though his old arms and legs could only handle teaching children under 14. To protect his pride, Wan-seo swiftly struck behind him, her movements lightning fast and undetectable. Her father genuinely believed he'd defeated them all. After dispatching the thugs, he wobbled back to his daughter. The other three weren't as fortunate, captured by the heiress and locked in power-suppressing cells. Meanwhile, after the liver transplant, the old man's aging reversed. He was back in his prime and now looked younger than his own daughter. Poor Chunhwa had intended to wait for Young-chun's death to seize all his wealth, but now it was uncertain who would die first. Young-chun returned home, showered and stood admiring his youthful, taut body in the mirror, when suddenly the light dimmed, as if he stood before a divine miracle. Tears in his eyes, Young-chun grasped the god's outstretched hands, only to be violently yanked by the swirling smoke, his form rapidly alternating between aged and youthful. He smashed his fist through the glass, shattering the illusion, his wrist wound healing instantly. Yet unsatisfied, he sought all transplant recipients to take their superpowered organs, aiming to become an omnipotent, worship god. Chunhwa couldn't resist her father's power nor could her men restrain such a formidable superpowered, so Young-chun soon located the captured three. At that moment, Ahn Jae-hong was attempting to snap his toes, since his hands were bound by specialized restraints. Just as he succeeded, two employees suddenly entered, strapping Ahn Jae-hong to a gurney to take him away. He struggled with all his might and managed to send a distress signal to Wan-seo using just his toes, revealing his location. Gotta say, Ahn Jae-hong's powers turned out to be seriously useful. Not only did he send out a message but he also remotely unlocked Seon-nyeo's electronic cell door, even as the doctor hit him with a sedative the very next second. Meanwhile, Wan-seo prepared to rescue her friends but her father, learning of their plight, insisted on joining. Last time's battle had given him blind confidence. Ahn Jae-hong had one cornea already removed. Luckily, he woke in time to save his other eye. Because the removal damaged that eye, Young-chun spared him, dumping him next to Yak-seon. Fortunately, Young-chun kept part of Yak-seon's liver for regeneration. Yak-seon grabbed Ahn Jae-hong's wrist, attempting to heal his severely injured eye. The scene shifts to the new Spirit Church event proceeding on schedule, but Young-chun's youthful transformation left the congregation stunned. Seeing this, Young-chun rocketed upwards, shattering his former portrait to demonstrate his might. Yet violence breeds fear, not reverence, so Young-chun swiftly changed tactics. He approached a paralyzed devotee, curing their legs with his touch. Then gently approached a gravely ill girl, restoring her health. Now truly seen as a deity, the worshippers fell to their knees in frenzied adoration. Young-chun soon sensed Wan-seo approaching. He snapped his fingers to open their path, then descended dramatically onto a throne before Wan-seo and her father. Spotting the mark on his wrist, Wan-seo instinctively kicked, actually breaking Young-chun's arm. Young-chun gulped mineral water, healing the fracture instantly. Next, Seon-nyeo and Park Ji-seong arrived, reuniting the trio. Young-chun declared, "Perfect, all here. Now hand over your organs." Enraged, Wan-seo's father charged with a side kick, only to be swatted aside by Young-chun. Wan-seo caught him just in time, preventing severe injury. An epic battle erupted. Wan-seo charged Young-chun, both empowered. Their clash was earth-shattering, destruction rivaling a demolition crew. Despite her strength, Wan-seo only had one superpowered heart, no match for Young-chun's assembled enhancements. She was soon pounded away, Park Ji-seong and Seon-nyeo rushing to check on her. Park Ji-seong spat at Young-chun, who was both disgusted and furious at such a low move. With a flick of his finger, he knocked Ji-seong out cold. Then he turned to grab Seon-nyeo, only to be shocked when he realized her power was transfer and swap abilities. He wouldn't need to steal organs individually, Seon-nyeo could directly transfer their powers to him. But just then, Ahn Jae-hong and Yak-seon showed up. Now all five of them were together and Young-chun was ready to take them all on at once. Wan-seo stood at the front, whistling to Park Ji-seong, understanding instantly. He blew a powerful gust to boost her. There was no way to beat the enemy alone, so everyone joined forces, using their powers to back up Wan-seo, but Young-chun was just too powerful. Han Gi-dong's fingers were practically sparking from the effort, but even that wasn't enough to take him down. Instead, the hall's pillars began collapsing first, revealing the steel frames beneath the crumbling statues, oblivious to the fanatical worshippers. Young-chun absorbed puddled water to heal rapidly. He tossed Park Ji-seong and the others aside like chicks, then choked Wan-seo one-handed until she coughed up blood. He then reached for Seon-nyeo, but the five joined forces, gripping Young-chun and draining his healing power into Wan-seo. Now that Young-chun had lost his powerful regeneration, he had no choice but to face Wan-seo head-on. But Wan-seo, fueled like a Super Saiyan, overwhelmed him. Young-chun became a human punching bag, quickly beaten down. Their victory was short-lived. They had to focus on stabilizing the collapsing structure. Han Gi-dong grabbed the wildly sparking statue frame, extinguishing the electrical surge under his friend's watchful eyes. As the five sighed in relief, preparing to heal the wounded, Young-chun seized the chance to lunge, trying to steal their powers. In the nick of time, Wan-seo yelled "Dad!" Her father delivered a flying kick, sending Young-chun sprawling. Deprived of his powers, he instantly aged. Han Gi-dong snapped his fingers, teleporting the now ancient Young-chun back before the congregation, forcing his followers to witness their god's true form. From tragedy to teamwork, from organ donation to unstoppable power, High Five isn't just a wild ride, it's a supercharged saga of redemption, betrayal and unlikely heroes. When five ordinary people come together, they don't just fight back, they fight for each other. And in the final blow, it's not power but heart that brings down a self-proclaimed god. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video even half as much as I enjoyed making it, smash that subscribe button.